The Baltic Sea is one of the most polluted bodies of water on Earth. Nutrient runoffs cause algal blooms, depleting oxygen and making water dark and murky. Urban litter and industrial chemicals that end up in the sea harm its ecosystems. Overfishing and climate change have also added their own long-term effects. Stocks of species like Baltic cod have collapsed. In Estonia, Mari Sepp manages the Cleanest project, which is co-funded by the EU's LIFE programme. It focuses on inland water bodies, including rivers that bring all sorts of pollution to the sea.
In the past 30 years, nutrient pollution in the Baltic Sea has been reduced by roughly 50%. The main focus has now changed from nutrients to dangerous substances, marine litter, drug residues, shipping, and alien species.
This river, the Perts, is contaminated with toxic chemicals from old industrial sites. In Soviet times, this was a tire repair factory. Its grounds were drenched with industrial fuels. The Cleanest project removed 14,000 cubic meters of heavily contaminated soil, stopping the spread of the pollution.
Oil wouldn't just stay in the soil. The substances would keep spreading into people's drinking water, the rivers and the sea. Oil contains toxic and carcinogenic chemicals, and the more it remains in the soil, the more these spread.
All the contaminated bodies of water need to be mapped and cleaned to prevent further pollution of the Baltic Sea. The Era River flows close to the Baltic coast in northeastern Estonia. Its bottom is covered with petroleum pitch, up to half a meter thick. It will be removed in the near future.
Oh. You can really smell the oil here.
This smelly and sticky substance is a hazardous industrial residue. In Soviet times, the industry that mined and processed oil shale often dumped untreated waste into ditches and rivers. Today, layers of solidified bitumen still cover the riverbanks.
Our research showed that there are approximately 40,000 cubic meters of this substance in the Era River. It will be removed and deposited at a landfill for hazardous waste. It will no longer affect the environment.
The Karanian Spit is a thin sand dune peninsula stretching between Lithuania and Russia. The fragile beauty of its protected nature is a powerful symbol of international conservation efforts in the Baltic region. In September 2020, the European Union renewed its commitment to restore the health of the sea. A groundbreaking conference called Our Baltic brought together government ministers, scientists, NGOs, and industry stakeholders, and was hosted by the European Commissioner for Environment, Oceans and Fisheries.
Of course, it's only 1 year passed since Our Baltic, but I'm very proud that we had this historic moment when actually not only ministers responsible for environment met, usually are those who you don't need to convince about the environmental crisis and to act. What you need is to convince ministers responsible for other portfolios. So I was very happy that ministers responsible for agriculture, fisheries, also met, and we signed a joint declaration. And as a proof, already 3 weeks after, we had a council in Luxembourg where we actually agreed tax and quotas for the Baltic Sea region within this scientific limit. And I think that was already a good progress. We continue to work, we continue to implement our biodiversity strategy, our farm-to-fork strategies, but we also have a number of very significant projects which tackles actually pollution sources around the Baltic Sea, coming directly from member states.
One example is this large industrial shipyard in the city of Klaipėda, just across the lagoon from the Karanian Spit. It is part of another EU-funded project called Fit for Reach. It is aiming to replace harmful chemical substances in its production processes with safer alternatives.
It is always better to concentrate on prevention instead of trying to cure problems when you have already caused those problems. When your hazardous chemicals are already in your products or they are emitted to the environment. So it's like win-win. It's good for environment, for clients, for workers, and also good for companies at the same time.
This plant produces metal components for ships. It has already reduced its emissions with underwater plasma cutting technology. Now, with the help of the Fit for Reach project, it's looking to eliminate a toxic compound from the spray that protects finished metal parts from rusting.
Our location here in Klaipėda, so close to the Kyrenian Lagoon, always reminds us how important it is to keep the Baltic Sea healthy and clean. That's our beautiful heritage that needs to be preserved. And we also care about the health of our workers, of course.
Pollution from agricultural fertilizers and urban wastewater can be minimized in many ways. Europe has developed more than 100 different measures, and more innovative ideas keep emerging. Back in Estonia, the ponds in the town of Rockvere became the site of an experiment to reduce water pollution. This experiment also offers new habitats for aquatic life and nesting sites for birds. A specialist from the Cleanest project designed these artificial platforms that help purify the water.
They are called floating islands. They're basically a base where we put plants that usually grow by the shore so that they can clean the water.
Known as phytoremediation, this method removes some of the contaminants from the water by helping the root system of plants act as a natural filter.
The roots of these irises produce a compound that facilitates the growth of beneficial bacteria. Our hope is that these bacteria will capture and neutralize nitrates and evacuate them from the water into the atmosphere.
From cleaning the rivers to protecting fish and restoring biodiversity, each step gets us just that little bit closer to a healthy and pure Baltic Sea.